Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will talk about the famous Indian writer Sarojini Naidu. Sarojini Naidu, 1879-1949. Sarojini Naidu is known by several affectionate and honorary names like the Nightingale of India, her most famous title called by Mahatma Gandhi for her lyrical and musical poetry. Bharata Kogila, the Sanskrit equivalent of Nightingale of India, the poet of India's awakening. She is also called a mother of the nation's dreamers. Sarojini Naidu was born on February 13, 1879 in Hyderabad into an intellectual Bengali Brahmin family. Her father, Agarnath Chattopadhyay, was a scientist, philosopher and a founder of the Nizam's College, Hyderabad. Her mother, Varada Sundari Devi, was a poetess who wrote in Bengali, inspiring Sarojini's love for poetry. She was a child prodigy, fluent in multiple languages, Bengali, Urdu, Telugu, English and Persian. At age 12, Sarojini Naidu wrote a long poem titled The Lady of the Lake in English, gaining early recognition. She won a scholarship to King's College London and later studied at a Girton College, Cambridge, where she was influenced by British literary culture and romantic poetry. Literary career and achievements. Sarojini Naidu began her literary career under the guidance of Hermann Ghosh, who encouraged her to focus on Indian themes rather than imitating Western models. Her poetry soon developed a distinctively Indian voice, blending lyricism with a national spirit. She emerged as the first major Indian woman poet writing in English, earning the title The Nightingale of India. Her poetry captured the beauty, rhythm and music of Indian life, nature and folk culture. She often used a melodic rhythm and a vivid imagery to portray India's festivals, occupations, women and landscapes. Major works of Sarojini Naidu. The Golden Threshold, published in 1905. Her first poetry collection, praised for its musical quality and a depiction of Indian life. The famous poems in this collection include Palanquin Bearers, Indian Weavers, Coromandel Fishers, Bangle Sellers, The Snake Charmer, etc. The next collection, that is The Bird of Time, came out in 1912. It reflects her growing maturity and a patriotism. Poems in this collection include The Gift of India, Awake, Humayun to Zobeda, and another poem, that is In Salutation to the Eternal Peace. Her next collection is The Broken Wing, published in 1917. Written during the height of the freedom struggle, deeply emotional and nationalistic. The notable poems in this collection include The Call to Arms, The Salt's Prayer, The Temple, The Lotus. The next collection, that is The Feather of the Dawn, published in 1961, is posthumously published. Edited by her daughter, Padmaja Naidu, continues her lyrical and spiritual tone. The last collection, that is The Sceptred Flute, Songs of India, 1943, a compilation highlighting her earlier works. Now let's talk about the themes in Sarojini Naidu's poetry. Indian nationalism. Sarojini Naidu's poems like Awake and The Gift of India evoke the spirit of patriotism and sacrifice. Women and femininity. She celebrated Indian womanhood, its beauty, strength, and spirituality. Nature and rural life. Inspired by Indian flora, fauna, rivers, and festivals, her poems are filled with colorful natural imagery. Love and spirituality. Explored human love as a metaphor for divine union. Indian folk traditions. She incorporated songs, rhythms, and occupations, fishers, weavers, palanquin bearers, bangle sellers, symbolizing the pulse of Indian life. Harmony and peace. Expressed the faith in unity, brotherhood, and the moral power of love. Style and techniques used in Sarojini Naidu's writing. She is known for lyrical intensity, musical rhythm, and a delicate imagery. She used alliteration, repetition, and a refrain to create a song-like flow. Her diction is ornate yet simple, blending classical and folk idioms. Deeply influenced by romantic poets such as John Keats, Shelley, and Alfred Lord Tennyson, yet her poetic voice remained uniquely Indian. She combined romantic idealism with Indian mysticism and national sentiment. Her poems often follow traditional English metrical forms, but infuse them with Indian culture, motifs, and cadences. Now let's analyze some of the notable poems and other themes written by Sarojini Naidu. First one, Palanquin Bearers, celebrate feminine grace and devotion, symbolizing care and reverence. The Bangle Sellers is a poem that depicts women's stages of life through the colors of bangles. The next work, that is Coromandel Fishes, portrays the fisherman's bond with the sea, an allegory for the call to national duty. The next poem, titled The Gift of India, is a patriotic lament honoring Indian soldiers in World War I. The next work, that is Awake, is a clarion call for national awakening and unity. The next poem, that is In the Bazaars of Hyderabad, is a sensory celebration of India's vibrant markets full of color and rhythm. The next poem, that is The Salt's Prayer, reflects spiritual yearning and a surrender to divine will. Now let's talk about the political and public life of Sarojini Naidu. She was inspired by Mahatma Gandhi and she joined the Indian National Congress and the freedom movement. Actively participated in the civil disobedience movement and quit India movement. She became the first Indian woman president of the Indian National Congress in 1925 Kanpur session. She later served as the first woman governor of an Indian state, that is United Provinces, now called Uttar Pradesh, after independence. She advocated tirelessly for women's rights, education, and political participation. She is known for her eloquence and wit, often called the Bulbul of India, for her poetic speeches. The legacy of Sarojini Naidu. She pioneered the path for women writers in Indian English literature. Blended art and activism, showing how poetry could be both aesthetic and political. Her works remain part of school and university syllabi across India. Inspire later generations of women poets such as Kamala Das, Eunice D'Souza, and Meena Alexander. Remembered as the symbol of India's cultural awakening and a poetic nationalism. She passed away on March 2, 1949 in Lucknow while still serving as governor. Sarojini Naidu's genius lies in her ability to translate Indian life into universal poetry using the English language. Her lyrical vision turned the struggles and joys of India into music and a metaphor. She represents a fusion of romantic lyricism, Indian ethos, and a nationalist idealism, a true poet-patriot of India.